Okay, so who would like to try to to give the first word?
Sir, defend.
Okay, John David.
Sir, ano, defend. Sir.
Defend.
Yes, sir.
Okay, try to give a sentence for that.
Um, defend. He didn't steal from you.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful answer, David. Um, who would like to try next?
Aleho, sir.
Yes, Ian.
Change.
Okay, give an example of a sentence that is categorized in change.
My earlier sentence is was not my real answer, sir.
Okay, thank you. How about you, John John?
Um, Sir, persuade.
Okay, give a sentence for persuade.
You should go with me there. There are a lot of cool things there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the discussion. Okay, the author's purpose. The author's purpose refers to the author's intention for writing or creating a text. Author's purpose is not limited to text that we read, but it is also present in the films, TV series, and documentaries in the comics and manga that we view or watch. While it is true that authors, filmmakers, create stories to earn money, they also have other purposes for doing so. For example, to inform or educate the readers, to persuade or convince the readers and viewers, and to make the readers realize a message or lessons. The author's purpose can range from a lot of things and may even stem from his personal life. And an author always has a purpose or aim in mind before they begin writing. In fact, many authors have multiple purposes. So, when looking for the author's purpose in stories or films, you can ask the following question. What is the reason the author wrote or created this story? And what does the author want the audience to realize in this story or movie? And the last one would be, how do I feel after reading and watching the story? Every book is three books, after all. The one the writer intended, the one the reader expected, and the one that cast its shadow when the first two meet by the moonlight. So who would like to give an interpretation of that? Anyone? Who would like to guess?
Sir.
Sir, I.
John, sir.
Yes, John John.
John, sir first.
In my opinion, the sentence pertains to the moment when we have our own understanding of a book that is differs from the author's intended purpose. The shadow pertains to the misunderstanding due to the conflicting ideas.
Okay, a wonderful interpretation of the text, John John. Thank you. Okay, then let us continue. To find the author's purpose in stories, we can also look for the plot, characterization, and setting. These three elements of a story can give us clues to the author's purpose. And let us review these three elements. Okay, so before we continue, who would like to read the story? Any volunteer? Hello?
Sir,
Yes,
Uh,
John John?
uh, uh, uh,
once in ancient Greece, there lived a man named Daedalus and his son, a teenage boy named Icarus. Daedalus is a brilliant inventor. He invented many things that made the life of the ancient Greeks easy. This reputation attracted the attention of a king named Minos who rules an island called Crete. Crete. Soon Daedalus and his son worked for the king, but one day Daedalus betrayed the king's trust. Minos did not hesitate and imprisoned him right away together with Icarus. In the tallest tower in his kingdom, Daedalus feared for his and his son's life. He spent sleepless nights thinking of a way to escape. They cannot simply walk out of the tower because the king's guards are everywhere, nor they can travel through the ocean because the king's soldiers have swift ships that can easily capture them.
Okay, please continue.
Daedalus find the solution. He is looking for from the sky. He saw birds landing and flying in and out of the tower. If the land and seas are controlled by the king, our only way of escape is to the sky. Daedalus thought. The father and son started gathering feathers and the feathers dropped by the birds. Daedalus, Da- Daedalus then assembled the feathers into two pairs of wings using the wax from the candles in the tower as glue. Before flying out of the tower, Daedalus warned his son, "Do not fly too too high and close to the sun, my boy, for the heat will melt the wax. Don't fly too close the water as well." Ano to? And the water will wet your wings and it will be heavy and hard to flap. Just stay close to me all the time.
Please continue.
Icarus nodded and the father and the child flew from the tall tower. When they already far and are flying above the sea, Icarus forgot his father's important warning and it flew above the sea. Ay, and flew cheerfully. The excitement from flying drove his father's warning away from Icarus' mind. It was too late when Daedalus noticed that his son are already far from him and flying too close to the burning sun. The wax keeping Icarus Eto. The wax keeping Icarus' wings together melted, and his wing fell apart. Icarus fell into the sea. Daedalus tried to reach his son, but it was too late. He continued his journey until he reached the land far away from King Minos. At this island, he built a temple to the gods and placed the wings as an offering to them. His grief for his dead son made him vow and never use the pair of wings again.
Okay, thank you for reading, John John. And so, why do you think the author wrote that story? Based on what we have, based on um, the three purposes that we have discussed earlier. we have the three, right?
Uh,
The persuade, the inform, and to entertain. Which one of those do you think is applicable in the story?
ako po ba, sir?
Yes.
Persuade?
And why do you think that it is a persuasion? Because it is.
Wala yung kodigo dito, Dre.
Wala sa Codigo Dre.
Wala sa kodigo dito, Dre. Pinag-iisip mo pa ako.
Bakit? Anong klaseng reaction?
Hindi ko pa naiintindihan yung story.
Okay, so wait. Sige,
Cut mo na
iyaano
lang
ko na
to.
lang. Okay, thank you, John John, for your answer. And let us continue. So the plot. Plot is the different events that happened in a story from beginning to its end. The story's plot can be divided into the following stages. Exposition, which is the beginning of the story in which the setting and the characters are introduced. Number and the rising action. It is something that happens in the story that starts taking shape. For example, a main character found a problem that he has to solve. The next one would be the climax, which is the turning point or the most exciting part of the story. This is the part where an important discovery, decision, or fight has happened. And the last one would be falling action, which is the event after the climax until the ending. The next one would be the setting. The setting is the place and time where the story took place. The setting can help in the development of the plot or in establishing a mood or feeling in a story. For example, in the movie Titanic, the setting of the story, which is the ship in the middle of an ocean, caused the problem in the story. Because the story took place at night, in the middle of a dark and cold ocean, there is also a mood or feeling of a fear and hopelessness in the story. And characterization. Characterization is the way characters are described in a story or film. Characterizations can be direct or indirect. Indirect characterization, the character is described directly, exactly in the story through words. In the indirect characterization, however, the story is not described directly, and the reader is the one who describes the characters by reading and watching the characters' action, dialogues, and thoughts in the story. So let us go back to the story of Daedalus and Icarus. For the direct characterization, we can say that Daedalus is a brilliant boy because it is specifically stated in the story. For the indirect characterization, however, we can find that in the character mindset and attitude based on how his action is. For example, Daedalus is a great father because of how protective he is of his son based on the how the story took place. For example, um, he always warned his son never to fly above or below on what um, fly above or below the the sun. And then when his son died, he even warned him. Okay, the next one. So let us have an activity. Can everybody read the questions? Are you able to read it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here are the direction. Read the description of each item and determine the author's purpose, which is either to entertain, to persuade, or to inform. Then in the sentence or two, explain your answer. So number one, who would like to read and answer the question? Anyone? Hello guys, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to read the question? Hello?
Sir, my internet connection is interrupted, sir, for a moment. The
Okay, David is having internet problems. So how about you, John John?
Same with David, sir.
Nandiyan na yung answer ah. Hello?
sir,
Walang,
sir.
Ray, walang explanation yung binigay mo.
Ano nyo na ng explanation? Magigets niyan.
Sir,
Yes, David.
sir, I would like to try to answer, sir.
Yes, please try number one.
A pamphlet urging people not to be eat by animals product made from made from animals or animal suffering because the author thinks that it is cruel and unnecessary. Sir,
Okay, so what's your answer?
persuasion, sir. Persuade, sir.
Okay, and why is that? Why did you think that this is persuasion?
Because the pamphlet is giving an information to to stop eating people eating animals, sir.
Okay, very good. And number two, who would like to answer? Anyone?